Hey everyone, it's Crystal here. So I'm here to bring you a video about burnout prevention and recovery. And just be mindful, there's not a one size fits all kind of solution. I wish there was, but our individual circumstances are so unique and different that really we have to also consider the factors that are involved in our situations. It could be environmental factors, your own personal factors. Maybe people around you are a factor and the ones that are involved. And just your tasks and what you have to do also are factors as well. So, taking these into consideration and knowing that this video is really just to give you some broad guidelines and set a foundation for you, but then factoring in all of your factors and your circumstance and being able to apply them so you can find the most beneficial outcome. So, this is just to give you some groundwork to put together whatever you need in order to set that starting place for yourself to recover and also find some preventative strategies should you not be changing your situation or can't be changing your situation, or maybe you don't want to change your situation, where you're feeling burnout but you want to change the challenges that you deal with them and improve it so you can gain more from it rather than be suffocated by it. And I just want to say off the bat, I'm really suffering from some allergies today. So if I have to like stop in the middle or you see some transitions through the video, it's because I am very itchy and stuffy right now and the pollen has just gone crazy around here. So I'm trying my best to make it through this, but my allergies are right now getting the best of me. Okay, so what's the first option that is available to you? Maybe people don't realize it or don't pay much attention or maybe don't factor it in as something really important or necessary to do. And I do have a whole series about self care I'm trying to expand upon because I feel it's just such a neglected thing that we maybe don't participate in enough and we don't give enough credit. And it needs to be made so aware, especially in these modern times that we live in, that self care and whatever that means to you, whatever that looks like to you, is part of our lives, is present, is something that we participate in just as much as we participate in everything else that we have to do in life or want to do in life. Self care is something that should highly be prioritized, especially in burnout and in preventative measures for burnout. And just be aware, we did a myth busting video the last week there, and we were talking about if burnout, there's one topic about burnout can't ever come back. But that's not entirely true. It can come back, but it also can't come back. And the reason why it can't come back is that you've developed a different mind state, a different set of coping skills, so you don't ever go back there. But if you don't do any of that deep, solid, hard work that you need to do to heal from burnout in a more mental capacity, which involves some physical as well as emotional work, you will experience burnout again. So, digging deep, and I'll link that video here because the myths about burnout I think is pretty awesome. We have these preconceptions, these notions that burnout may not come back, but anything can come back if you don't have the right tools available to you to keep it at bay. So, self care. Why is self care so important? Well, self care gives us some time to reflect with ourselves, to be with ourselves, to listen to what's going on in our body and our minds. And sometimes spending some time with yourself is just truly beneficial overall, even if you're not burnt out. But taking this time is really good for some self reflection, some internal dialogue, healthy internal dialogue, evaluating things, just bringing some level of awareness of what's going on within you, what's happening in your thoughts, and what those thoughts are doing for your body. And self care really does help you focus, it helps you gain just a whole level of understanding and better habits overall. And when you do participate in self care, you'll find that everything else improves around you. Your sleep could improve around you. Maybe your nutrition improves. You make better decisions. Your social connections could also improve as well. Maybe you don't feel so anxious about things and you just feel better in your own skin. And that's really what self-care is about, is that connection with self and that feeling of being just completely comfortable in your own skin. And self-care is an internal job. Yeah, we do some things on the external. So, I was mentioning about dry brushing in one of my self care videos. That's more of a topical external factor. Creating that spa environment for yourself and just having that getaway day. But imagine what that does to our internal selves. It brings relaxation, some calmness, some time to just break away and step away from the stressful environments that we're in and stressful thoughts. And it just allows you to assess yourself and give yourself what you need so you can keep going with really great energy and constant high energy so you can keep doing what you love to do and move through life not being burnt out. So, self care just really helps you find some opportunities within yourself to push yourself really to the limit, but in a good way where you feel satisfied. You have these moments of self fulfillment and self care. It's a great way to expose yourself to just treating yourself with some loving kindness and compassion. And it really feels good. You can feel this on the inside. I know I do every time I do anything for self care. And I do self care actually every day. And it could be even in the most smallest forms, whether that be some yoga with some meditation after. I love doing that every single day. And sometimes I don't do like a whole yoga flow. I break it up, I change it up based on how I'm feeling for that day. So I even bring that intention to what kind of yoga routine I do for the day and really think about, what does my body need right now? What is it craving? What is it calling for? And then I'll do that. And then I'll do a meditation where really I try very hard to practice this every single day because I just love the way it just brings some alignment within me and allows me to tackle things that I have to do in a more calm, situated position. And it also allows me to have much more clarity when I'm doing anything. So, for instance, today, my self care routine, I'll just give you an example. I went outside and I usually do yoga inside, but now the weather's really nice. So I've decided to take my practice outside. And rather than doing my typical thing where I do yoga and then some strength training or cardio training, I thought I would do like a full out 40-minute yoga flow. And I took my practice outside and I felt so engrossed in nature. I love my backyard. It's very green and luscious and I have a nice garden and it's beautiful. And it's just a perfect setting for me to be with myself, to give myself that time, to be in an element that really speaks to me and makes me feel calm and centered. So that was my self care routine this morning as I started my day, and it really just set myself up for having the greatest day possible. I am able to look at things more simple. Things are clear. I'm able to manage myself, my feelings, my emotion entirely differently. Had I not done any of this, sometimes, I'm rushing or I'm constantly thinking, and that also doesn't serve me very well. So I know what I need, and it's about knowing what you need even if you don't do it every single day. But I do promote doing something even small every single day. We can all find 5 or 10 minutes for our own selves. Disconnect from all the electronic devices. Give yourself a moment just to be with yourself and regain that energy and resetting yourself and just taking that time to be with yourself and liking that, enjoying that. And really, it makes you like yourself a whole lot better where you realize that you really need to overcome burnout. And this is just such a vital component and part of life. So self-care. I can go on and on about self-care, but it'll really help you just connect the dots in life once you start engaging within it. So the next preventative and recovery measure that you can use for burnout is shifting your perspective. And so when you're in burnout, you have this like cynical kind of, well, cynical and depersonalization are similar things where you have this lens that you're looking through and just not happy, just fed up, just irritated, agitated, don't really have that motivation. And everything's looking like that towards whatever is creating your burnout. And when you're looking through this all the time, it's really hard to see the other side of things. It's hard to stop and smell the roses, for instance. It's hard to notice the good things in life because you're constantly in this funk, and it's the funk that needs to be changed. So, shifting that perspective. And when you can do that, you can relax a bit better. You have this different perception. You can eliminate feeling exhausted and really like create more efficiency within yourself and your body and your mind. And sometimes shifting your perspective requires some deeper internal work. And we have to change the way that we constantly look at things. And sometimes we just always are in that mode where we look at things from a negative perspective. It doesn't matter how good things are right now or can be or are serving you well, but when you're looking through that lens of just negativity, there's no room for enjoyment. There's no room for good, for happiness, for anything. And it really conflicts with the way you feel. So, we really have to get to the root cause in a mental form to shift your perspective, the root cause of the burnout and what's causing it. And we know that burnout is high amounts of stress. So, what's stressing you out? What's stressing you out to the point of depression? What's stressing you out to the point of having anxiety, of being tired, of being helpless, of just feeling completely agitated and irritated? These are things that we really have to bring some attention to so we can shift our perspective. And really, that's just some really deep mental work to really break through and unravel things and really peel the layers back. There's multiple layers to burnout. And we need to peel them back to really get to the nitty gritty of things and find out exactly what's the causation of the burnout. And this can really shift your perspective. Anything that you're feeling in those negative ways really needs to be flipped to being positive. And I know that there's sometimes this assumption that it's only mindset, but it is strongly your mindset that will create a different perspective. And then of course, everything else is just gravy as well with the self-care that you do and everything else we're going to mention in this video. So shifting your perspective and really bringing a different viewpoint to how you're interpreting things, how things are affecting you, how you're moving through the day. And this can really be enlightening. And it's about personal development, essentially. You're developing yourself to be a higher level of yourself and shifting your perspective on anything and everything, even the most insignificant things. If you shift your perspective, you could be like, oh, okay, not as bad as I thought it would be, or oh, I can handle that, or no, that won't work for me. I need to find something else, or speak up whenever you need to. So, this will give you more control and focus on what you need to fulfill and what's fulfilling towards what you're doing. And it's really about regaining the role that you have in whatever you're doing and understanding what your limits are and where you can improve and what you will not do. And when you shift your perspective, you're giving yourself better ways of evaluating situations. You're giving yourself an opportunity to look at them and really really bring your true self to it, not consider people pleasing constantly or always having to adapt because you feel like you have to. And it's not about always needing to be an overachiever and be a perfectionist and a people pleaser. It's not about that. You need to shift your perspective so you can do what's within your reach, what you're capable of, what you want to do. And I understand that we may sometimes be in an environment that doesn't suit us or has changed drastically or doesn't serve us anymore. Or maybe we've uncovered some stuff about that environment that wasn't present before and now are showing up more frequently. And sometimes we can't shift our environment. And maybe it's a job that you really like to do and you want to be there and the company is great, but there's some people that are sullying it. And so the environment itself is not healthy. But you can't change the environment, but you can change how you are going to work within that environment, your attitude towards the environment, or maybe you need to change the environment and find something else and start looking elsewhere. So there could be some considerations made there. And really, it'll make you feel much more happier because you're mentally able to deal with these things and also have healthy dialogue in your mind about what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And really this is about creating some abundance in what's available rather than living within scarcity. It's about creating some mental abundance of your options and how you want to act towards things and how you react towards things. So if it's not really working out and there's nothing you can do about the environment and you really are at wit's end about this is where we draw the line, this is the end of the road, then yeah, for sure, look for something else. There's always opportunity. When one door closes, another one opens. And I really try to look at everything that way because there's a reason why that saying exists and we have to really embrace those kinds of things. But if the environment is, if you can endure that and you can find some better coping strategies, maybe somebody asks you to do way too much, you need to speak up and say what's what and say, no, this is what's within my scope. I'm unfortunately not able to do that right now, but I can do this. Or maybe someone's demanding too much of you at home and you're going to say, I'm sorry, that's not what I can do right now. I can either do that later or I can't do it at all. And really set those boundaries because that's how you shift your perspective is also establishing those boundaries within yourself, what you're capable of, and what other people are asking of you. So just really don't overextend yourself. And also don't feel like you have to constantly feel pressured by all these things. It's about the way you're going to perceive things and respond to them. So clear up that mental fog, clear up those negative thoughts, and really bring this different type of attitude. And you'll be able to take control of everything, considering that, that's what we need to do overall to overcome burnout is taking control of ourselves. So that's a really great way to do it. So, the next preventative strategy and recovering strategy for burnout is to reduce your exposure to the stressors. And I understand this can't always work, like we just talked about your work environment or whatever environment's creating you stress. So, I understand that that's not always something that's available. So, we have to decide, are we going to push back and stand up for ourselves? Or are we going to change our environment? And being in an environment, as humans, we are the least comfortable in our environment. We have a hard time adapting. We are the only creature on earth that cannot adapt fully and comfortably to our environment. And think about that. We have these thoughts that create our feelings, which creates our actions, which creates our events, and then the results. So if you think about that and think about the thoughts that you have when you're burnt out or in an environment that burns you out, it's not really self-serving, not really positive thoughts doesn't really want to keep you there. You don't really want to be there. You kind of lose motivation. It's not really where you want to be. And this kind of pressure, this kind of dialogue will really affect your overall well being, your productivity, and like everything else about you, your whole identity. So, really looking at what stresses you out. And as I said, there is a mind state and mindset kind of capacity that we need to work through. And that involves identifying the stressors. So it's all interconnected, all one and the same, and really understanding what stress is, which we have a video about that, and talking with yourself when you are doing these kinds of self evaluations about what's stressing you out. Make a list so it's obvious, so you don't skip over, so you don't lose track, so you don't just have it in your head as a mental dialogue, but you actually have it as something tangible that you can see and you can work through. It's kind of just making like a list that you would do for anything else, a task list of things that you need to do. This is just the same because your health should be just as important. And I'm just such a huge proponent of taking care of ourselves and also being our own detectives and tuning in and listening in. I'm so passionate about it. And I do so much of my own internal research on myself. And then I reach out to resources to gain more information. And it's really about creating that connection and finding what works for you. So, identifying your stressors is such a keen awareness of how to bring that full circle for ourselves so we are able to heal from the stress, so we are able to deal with the stress better. And dealing with the stress better would give us a different outward perspective on things. So, really think about that. And then another piece to the puzzle, because these all are interconnected. You can do one, but eventually you'll end up doing the other, and then they'll all just come together anyway. So you might as well start considering all of them. But I mean, we're breaking it down piece by piece so you can look at section by section. But the last one is seeking out connections. And why are connections so important? We're social beings. We love connecting. We are about connecting. I mean, that's what social media is for, really, is to create that now online connection, aside from also having the in-person connection. Mind you, I feel like we've kind of stepped away from the in-person connection and have gone more to the online connection, but there's no reason why we can't bring both and bring that other one back and strengthen it, because our connections with people and to everything else around us, even our environment, even where we live, even what we do, it's all interconnected. And really, it could bring some rich interpersonal feelings and interactions within yourself and among other people if you seek these connections. And imagine interacting with these connections at your highest state, at your highest level, at your highest self, and how enlightening and wonderful they would be, and how much you would gain so much more from these connections deeply and personally. And I know I'm constantly strengthening my connections. I start with myself because if you don't have a strong connection with yourself, then you can't expect to have strong connections with others. It's really that frank, guys. It's just the way it is. You have to have that connection with yourself. And that's a lot of inner work. And if you're ready for it and you want to do it, then by all means, I'm here to support you. I want to see you work through that. And really, the purpose of me bringing all this information to you is because I want to help advise, I want to help guide, I want to help support people needing to find that inner connection with themselves. And once you've worked at that inner connection, because it's going to be constantly a work in progress if you want it to. I always think the sky's the limit, so I might as well just keep going. I'm here already. I'm doing the work. But when you can get that really deep connection with you, when you find that inner alignment, and when you do the healing work, it really helps bring just a new level of healing, a new level of preventative measures, a new level of recovery, a new level of coping. and really allows you to really enjoy this one time we're guaranteed on earth. And why not? Why not enjoy that time? Why live it any other way but joyfully? So, seeking out these connections with yourself, it's really part of, again, personal development and just keeping this continuous. And sometimes seeking out these connections could be helpful people around you, could be family members, perhaps, if you find that they have some wisdom that they could share with you. It could be some friends that you may seem to have a really good connection with and may have some outside perspectives. It's really about gaining a different perspective. It could really be a naturopath or a mental health carer or a therapist or a doctor or anybody that can help support you emotionally and naturally in a way where they give you the opportunity to move through your emotions, to gain some understanding, to really work through things on a deeper level personally, not camouflage it with, some medications or give you an easy way out. It's about holding you responsible, keeping you honest, really working you through, asking the hard questions, giving you some information or advice, or perhaps sometimes needing to hear the criticism, whatever that may be. These connections, you'll seek them because you're drawn to it, and it'll make sense to you when you start opening up your mind and connecting with them and being really honest with them and honest with yourself. And these connections can really help boost your self-esteem, boost your confidence, boost your whole life into being so much more wholesome and pleasurable. And it just really helps you engage differently with yourself, engage differently with people around you, engage differently with life and everything involved in life. And it really has the most benefit, really and truly, honestly, in a healing journey. So I have these really strong connections. I'm drawn to them for a reason. I know that. I have someone for everything, and I keep looking for more. Keep looking for more understanding. I keep looking for more diversity, more information. I have a wealth of information in my head that I know I've personally seeked out and also coincidentally stumbled upon. And it just really has added so much value to my life that it's really changed how I want to move through life, the way I feel about myself, and the way I feel about everything around me. And sometimes it's hard it's hard to see that sometimes. It's hard to reach out and ask for the help, but just know that help is there. And help isn't a weakness. Help is a strength. If you look for help, you're looking for connection, you're looking for wisdom, you're looking for knowledge, and you're not weak at all. I don't know why society makes it seem like we're weak when we ask for help, but really, this help is there for a reason. So latch onto it, use it to your benefit. And when you've helped somebody before, it feels so good to you. So imagine when you help, when you get help, how that would feel for you. It'll just open you up. A light bulb will go off sometimes, whatever that may be. Looking for help is how we upgrade, how we improve, how we just can do better for ourselves in life. And having people's perception and their perspectives and their life journeys and their concepts. Sometimes, if we find a way to integrate that into our lives and it speaks to us, then we should try it out and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, try something else. But you have to find that connection, and that connection will really deeply seed itself in you. So I have, just to name a few connections I have a few. I have great connections. First of all, I have really great family connections. That I certainly can't deny at all. They're there for you, they support you. Family connection is really powerful to me. And family, just so you know, guys, in my opinion, doesn't always have to be blood related. Could be anyone that you consider family. And I have a big family. and I love my family, and they all have their role in my life, and I really do value them so much. Then I have a naturopath, one of the best one of the best persons I know who really helped me set off on this journey of healing, self development, upgrading myself, tuning into myself, awareness of myself, strategies available. She really opened the door. She's like my sensei. I tell her this quite often. She's just my sensei to wellness, and she's really brought this full circle to me, to a place where I can start exploring and discovering and really diving down deep into what I need and what resonates with me and what works for me. So she's one of my most favorite people. I can't replace her. I do drive an hour just to go see her because I will not see anyone else. She's my guiding light, my sensei, as I mentioned, for my wellness journey. And then I just recently stumbled upon, I needed to get a massage, and I did so much research, and I'm pretty picky at who gives me a massage. And then I just found this clinic, and there's this woman there, and at the bottom it also said Reiki master, and I was like, okay, well, I haven't tried that before. I'm very curious about that. And so I met her, had a couple of sessions, and then the second session I was like, okay, I need to ask. Like, this is just itching with me in me. I'm just so curious about how this works and what that means. And now it has just opened up a whole different portal in my mind, a whole different universe to what I am, who I am, and what is going on within me. And I can tune in to things much more at a higher level. It's crazy, guys. Like, just how things work out. I could have seen anybody, but then somewhere down the line, she was the person that came into my life. And so she has her purpose as well. So I find all these things. These are my human connections. And then, like, I have like a podcast that I listen to religiously, the Model Health Show. It has been my guiding light to learning, to diversifying, to introducing, to taking control of my health, my wellness overall, and really broken down the barriers for me simply, and educated me. And that's where I go for my education. And then, of course, I dive down some other podcasts, but fundamentally, that is the one podcast that I live by. I have to listen to it. And it just brings me so much joy and so much pleasure, and really has revolutionized my life. So, just some tips about connections. It does vary for all of us. So, find the connections, find these connections, and make them benefit you. They're just so wholesome for ourselves. So, guys, I hope you're able to stick with me here on the preventative measures as well as recovery measures for burnout. Of course, we could dive down a whole lot deeper. I can keep going on and on about this, but just know that, yeah, you can dabble one or two things of these, but eventually you'll just notice, oh, I'm doing everything Crystal said, that, all these measures that she mentioned. I'm doing them all anyway. And you'll just notice how good it makes you feel and how better you can work through things. But really having these strong connections, whatever it may be, a therapist, a naturopath, yourself, some great educational connections, whatever that may be, even the connection at the grocery store. I have a great connection with my butcher, actually. I love going there. It's just all these connections around you. You never know what people know or going through. You talk to them and then you learn so much. It's just so insightful. Find it so interesting. Human connections are just absolutely amazing. Also the connections, of course, with nature and animals and everything else. I can't that's not tangible in my opinion. That connection is so truly deep within my heart. So, anyways, I'll stop there, but just notice that burnout can be prevented. We can recover from it. Does take some work, but if you can find some measures, if you can follow this guideline to give you these outlines of how you can move through each section, you'll see it all come together eventually. Anyway, I hope you're able to get some value out of this today. I would appreciate if you like this video, subscribe, share it with anybody that you feel would really benefit from this information. And I really appreciate you sticking with me today. I'll see you soon.